Worry about shadows, ghosts, monsters, or other imaginary creatures may sound very like standard childhood worries, which they are, but that's not to say they should be dismissed. Anxiety is on the rise in children and adolescents, with studies in the United States showing that 1 in 8 children experience extreme anxiety. Lots of factors can play into that, and while some degree of worry is normal, kids may need help putting it all in place. One tool for that? Well, making your worries come to life. It's the suggestion from our guest today, children's author and illustrator Jion Sheibani. Welcome to the show. Now, you have a series of books out called The Worries, published by Penguin, aimed, I believe, at 5 to 8-year-olds. The first we have here, it's in the series, is already out. The second on the way. The premise is to draw your worries, to define them. And in this one, a little boy does just that, and his worries appear around him. I'm making it sound pretty scary, maybe, but tell us a bit more what this book is actually about.
Well, like you say, the book is about a little boy who's very worried, and one day he decides to draw his worries, and at night they come alive, and they start to follow him around and cause all kinds of mayhem. But he manages to make a friend, and he manages to talk it through and work it out. And in the end, his worries don't disappear, because that's the message of the book. Your worries are always somewhere, but they're manageable by the end.
Indeed, he interacts with them and manages even to control them, because they grow and contract depending on how much focus he gives them, how much attention. One thing that's interesting in the book is that it's actually the kid who finds the solution to his own worries, not his parents, and they do try.
Yes, this is an important part of the book, because at the beginning you see Sohail's parents faffing around and frantically trying to get rid of his worries for him. And I think that's often the instinct of parents. You immediately want to take your child's pain away. And often we say the phrase, don't worry, quite a lot. Whereas actually it's really important to show children that it's okay to sit with your worries for a bit, have a think about them, and give them the tools, or help them find the tools to figure them out for themselves.
And indeed, I know I'm not your target audience, but I did relate to Sohail because he's called a worrier, which I was always called in school by teachers. Oh, she's a worrier.
Yeah.
Now, you have been going to schools in the UK and some in France, meeting with children, going through the book and drawing worries with them. How have they reacted to acknowledging, really, if you like, their worries?
Well, the reaction has been pretty astounding. Obviously, because of COVID, we haven't been able to go into schools in person, but I've been doing a lot of online events. The other week, I was with Scottish Book Trust for Children's Mental Health Week, and we went to over 25 schools across Scotland and saw 1,300 children, and also to a children's hospital in Edinburgh. And the response was astounding. The children drew their worries. It ended up opening up a conversation with their teachers, their parents. And I hope it will help them and bring them some comfort.
But kids, it sounds like, are pretty open to it. It does sound like there's some very common worries, like getting big or the dark. Are there also some unusual ones that came out that surprised you?
There are things like sadness, emotions that you wouldn't necessarily think of as worries, but sadness really struck me. But there were all kinds of worries that came up. Every child's worry is very different and very particular to them. And I think sometimes we tend to sort of box them and put them into certain categories, and the fear of the dark, or the fear of certain animals. But they're all so different and as unique as each child is.
Yeah, which is the fun thing of getting them to draw. I do know a few little people that did just that, and the drawing went on for quite a while. I have to say, I related to Babs, who's the worry about worrying, which is very relatable. Have you any idea how parents find this idea of talking about worries so directly with their children?
Well, I've received some lovely messages over social media from parents saying how much the book has helped them, also to start a conversation with their children, especially at bedtime when worries can come up most obviously. And also from parents of children with special needs or children with autism, for whom talking about their emotions and worries and being misunderstood is very, very common. So it's great to see that the book has helped open up these conversations for all kinds of children.
Yeah, even some little kids that mightn't even realise they have worries until they actually sit and think and then get them out and realise that's what's been bothering me. What prompted you, though, to focus? When you're thinking of kids' books, we often think of ludic and fun and whatever. What prompted you to focus on worry?
Well, I was looking for a book for my son, who was 8 at the time, and there were a lot of books for younger children, a lot of picture books about worries, but there didn't seem to be anything in the young fiction market. So I was really looking for something for him, but something that would help him, figure out the tools in his own mental health toolbox that he could use to think about his worries, and also realise that it's everyone that's got worries. It's completely normal to worry. Adults worry too. but they're completely manageable, and that we do have lots of resources like drawing, like talking, like writing, playing, in order to deal with our worries.
Indeed, it's weird, isn't it? Because worries are seen nearly as a flaw for some reason when it's a perfectly natural part.
Exactly. It's a sign of a healthy brain. I spoke to a child psychologist when I was writing the book, researching it. And yeah, often we don't think of it in a positive way, that actually worrying is something our brain does naturally to help us work through issues, work through dangers, all kinds of things. So it's not necessarily a negative thing.
Now, quite originally, you don't just write your own books, you also illustrate them. I mean, how does it come about? Do the pictures influence the writing or vice versa?
It really depends, but I think with the worries, the voices actually came in very quickly, and then the images, and then I would say, and then I started to write the story itself. But it depends, and often what's great about being able to do both is when you get stuck with one, then you can switch to the other, and then often that helps work through the story.
And of course, you're drawing, and as we were saying, art therapy, very good for your own worries.
Exactly.
Jion. Is there something particular about this book and the novel and the way you've written it that you're most proud of?
I think the fact that it's funny, and
it is funny.
Turning something, thank you, turning something that can be very distressing, family situations that could be distressing, into something fun and positive. That's what I'm most proud of.
This is the first in a series. There is a second one already, I believe, sent to the publishers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can tell you a little bit. It's out in August, August 19th. It's called Jazz and the New Baby. So it's the main character is Soha's friend, Jazz, and she has a baby sister. And so the main worry in that story is jealousy.
Yes, which is a difficult one for children, I can imagine.
Absolutely.
Well, fabulous to hear a bit more about the worries, and thanks so much for coming in to tell us a bit more about them. Jion Sheibani, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.